caves and margaritas. Joe and Gavin talking about their favorite features.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Man Caves and
Margaritas.
or in this case,
Orange juice.
Pims and Lemonade.
Oh, you posh git.
I know, cheers. It's like,
Surprised it's not a Campari and soda.
I do like that actually. It feels like Wimbledon drinking this. Anyway, listen, Wolf, what have we just watched?
We've watched American Werewolf in London, directed and written by John Landis.
Yeah, I didn't know the amount of times I've seen that, I didn't know he actually wrote it as well.
No, because to be fair, the writing's top notch. So to write it and direct it, massive respect.
Yeah, good job. Well done, John Landis.
Yeah. He went on to do, was it Empire Strikes Back?
Oh no, that was Irvine.
I thought, didn't he do a Star Wars?
No, he's done, right, so John Landis, he's done Beverly Hills Cop. Is that it? Are you thinking of that?
Yeah. Well, he's done it.
Before American Werewolf, we're talking about Landis's history as a filmmaker. He was pretty much very, very big in the 80s. And he did Twilight Zone. He did a segment for Twilight Zone, the movie, where he got sued because he got sued for manslaughter, but he didn't go to jail. But it was touch and go. I think he had to go to court because in his section, which is the Vietnam War section, a helicopter crashed and decapitated an actor, the Vic Morrow. I can't remember his name. I think it's Vic Morrow. Anyway, he decapitated an actor and killed a child actor as well. And he, because he was directing that segment, he went to the court for manslaughter. But anyway, he's done Blues Brothers, which is probably why there's all those cars crashing in Piccadilly, Leicester Square. Anyway, so he did Blues Brothers. He did Animal House, Belushi. Beverly Hills Cop 3 is the Beverly Hills Cop that he directed, not the first one.
Right.
It was the worst
Quite
of the three.
prolific then.
Oh yeah, he's done loads. Innocent Blood, as you know, because that was the prize, which I might as well say now that it's out anyway. Innocent Blood prize. Well done, Melanie Gawley. You've won Innocent Blood Cinema Lobby brochure. Well done, Mels.
Well done, Mel.
So we'll get that off to you. Big time director. And American Werewolf is probably my favourite of his films. Hence, I chose it.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's a very, very good film, isn't it?
Did you like?
Yeah, it's a very good film.
You haven't seen it for a while.
I've not seen it for a long, long time. That was about the fourth time I've watched it. But enough time's passed, where I can't remember certain bits. It's very well structured and put together. And quite a lot happens, really, in character building and putting people in the right place. And considering it's only 90 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's 140 or something. But yeah, it's not long, is it?
No, you could easily squeeze a 2-hour movie out of that.
Well, we've talked in the past about films that have done a really top job of getting you invested in the characters by just telling the story without having to have loads of exposition as well. And that had to get you invested in the two guys really quickly because it's not long before, obviously it's not long before one of them, Jack's, dead. And the relationship that they have still permeates throughout the film as well, which we can talk about in a bit. But he does it in such a way that you join them on what you're joining them on the beginning of like a European road trip that they're having. Yeah. And they just have this lovely little banter, don't they? Yeah. On this walk down to the slaughtered lamb. And by the time they get to the pub, you're already with them, aren't you? Two young American guys having this road trip, nice guys. Yeah, and you're invested. And it's just like, brilliant.
Yeah, and, obviously John Landis is American, and for him to, I don't know how hard it is for someone, I don't know if he knew the UK much before. They really nailed what it's like to be out in the moors in England.
Yeah, man.
At that time of night.
Yep.
I was very impressed with the portrayal of like that part of England and
the isolation,
Mike.
The isolation that you felt, and the whole the fact that he shot it at a time of year where it was damp, dull, rainy, just added to the whole
cold,
misty.
Yeah,
you know. We might as well talk about the slaughtered lamb because it's one of the first big set pieces, isn't it? Going into the slaughtered lamb and the whole setup of the potential for a werewolf in this, what we are supposed to believe is a North Yorkshire sort of village. You really like that scene because we the first time we've done it, we paused it, we wound it, and you watched it again, didn't you? Just that scene in the pub.
Yeah.
So what was it that you particularly liked about that scene itself then, do you think?
So they had to get quite a lot of information out just in that pub, in this small little environment with, packed full of people with lots of noise and things going on. And they never fell into exposition. There was loads of really natural exchanges between the villagers that were in there and the bar lady and the two guys sat down talking to each other. And then there was a moment where the ice was broken really naturally and the guy started telling the joke. And as he was telling the joke, it kept going back to the lads and they were like, what's that pentagram? You ask them what that pentagram is without them hearing it. So, and there was all this information being portrayed to us from different angles all at the same time, but not in a really condescending manner. It was very natural progression. And the amount that actually happens, because they're only in there for like, what, 4 minutes?
5 minutes max.
Yeah.
And
they set up everything within that 4 minutes in a really naturalistic manner.
Amazing scene when you break it down like that. And and it's really cool to do that because it makes me appreciate it more. Again, all these characters, you've got some fantastic actors in there. Brian Glover, he's Yorkshire through and through, wasn't he?
His accent's amazing.
Yeah, and you're right. It's like this really frosty atmosphere when they first walk in, and and it's
when they first walk in, it's a wide from the side of the pub, and on the back wall is the pentagram with the candles.
The candles,
just to get you immediately started.
Something's not right here, and then you get the feel of dread that they're able to give themselves after the boys have gone. It's like they ask about the pentagram, everything then goes really frosty again. He misses the dartboard. I've not missed that board, and all this sort of stuff. And then when they do leave, they instead of going straight out with the boys, he stays in the pub for another minute or two.
Yeah, because you wouldn't expect that, would you? So they walk off and stuff, and then edit straight back to the pub, and you're like,
the pub.
What? I thought this bit was done.
Yeah,
done with.
And I like that. Because again, it then set everything up again for what we then see with the boys then walking on the moors, the threats. We need to go out. We can't let them go. Blah blah blah. And, oh man, I saw nothing.
very well done. And then the boys get lost. They go. Well, they
go off the path.
Yeah. So they left the road, and because it's quite foggy and stuff, before they know it, they're
Oops, as David says, don't go off the path, and he looks down. Oops. Having rewatched that a few times now, obviously, watching it rather than just watching it on a normal telly, watching it in surround was really cool.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it?
Because the sound of the wolf, when it's circling them and stuff, really lovely sound design. That. Really
good, and of course they're like it's circling us. They could tell, and you could hear it at the same time.
Different speak. Oh man,
really well done.
Really good. I love the effect that he created. I'm sure it's a mixture of a few different things, but I can't remember what they are. But the sound effect for the werewolf, for its howl and its it is really cool, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's just surreal, isn't it? It's not like anything that you've heard. It's not like a wolf's howl. It's something that's a bit more.
Sounds dangerous.
Yeah. So I really like that.
Yeah. Do you think if you had been I'm assuming everyone's seen this film, by the way, because what year was it?
82.
82.
Yeah.
If you were in the pub and they when the boys left, one of them was like, I'm not leaving, I'm hungry. And I think that would have been me.
That would be you, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I would have stayed in the pub. Would you have left that pub?
Wow. Well, on the basis that the village, that the entire pub practically had turned on us just because I talked about the pentagram, and the way that whole atmosphere goes. Because obviously, I mean, at that point, if you'd never seen the film before and you didn't know what was coming, obviously, just by the title alone, you know it's going to involve werewolves and stuff. But there's no mention of a werewolf or anything at that point with the lads.
Yeah.
So the two American lads have no idea at all what's coming. They just think, obviously, they see the pentagram.
Oh, I suppose, yeah. If you're in a different country,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
and
so you're not aware of the culture.
You know, and they're like
it's like when I wasn't with you actually. So we've been to holiday to Whitby a few times, which is like a little fishing village in northern England. And me and my girlfriend Claire went there once. You know, we went into this pub and it was full of all these like odd people. You know, it was really strange. And then suddenly they all got down and they all pulled out banjos and stuff and started kicking up all this music. So me and Claire went to the bar, ordered 8 pints of Guinness, and went round giving them all a pint of Guinness and just sat with them and got drunk while they were playing. And we're used to that kind of like odd pub atmosphere with the locals. Do you know what I mean? But I suppose,
I think on the basis of how they were acting, everything, and when they came out of the pub, their first sort of words between themselves was, I think Jack says to David, or David says to Jack, "Come on, let's see if we can find an inn a bit further up."
Did he say that?
Yeah. So the whole premise was, we're going to leave this place, but we're going to go and see if we can find another one. Right. Obviously, not knowing that they're in the moors and there's probably nothing around for about another 10 miles, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then that's the journey. Yeah, and that's the proper horror starts. But even because it's a horror comedy, and even with that particular scene on the moor, there's still that bit of comedy. You know, because he gets him to fall over.
I mean, it's not a comedy, is it?
Not full out comedy. No, there's moments. There's moments like, in there that's comedic.
Comedic. Yeah, because that's one of the points I was going to make. Because if it didn't have that comedic element to it, it would have been absolutely horrifying and really quite dark. And
those little moments that he throws in just when it's needed.
Yeah,
I think. But not to the point where it makes it like a farce.
Yeah, it's very, very well judged.
Yeah. Going into the scenes where when you see Jack for the first time having been killed and mauled by the werewolf, and now he's one of the undead until obviously the bloodline ends. The first time he shuts the mirror and you see Jack in the background, and he's like, he's getting this corpse to do things just like he's still a normal guy. And that's kind of the funny thing about it, isn't it? Because he's this walking corpse that's been ripped apart. And, at one point he gets the Mickey Mouse thing out and he's like, "Hey, hello, David." Stuff like this.
Yeah, do you remember when you first saw it?
Yeah, I saw it on TV, actually. And I would have seen that probably about 1984 when it came on TV rights to see.
Yeah, that's probably when I first saw it. And, there hadn't really been anything like that.
Not really, no. Certainly not. There'd been no werewolf film at all, apart from what we've been used to seeing, like the Universal werewolf movies of old.
Yeah.
There'd been no, after American Werewolf, we then got films like The Howling, and in fact that was the same year actually.
That was a good film.
Yeah, it was, and that came out the same year. But prior to American Werewolf, we didn't really have anything at all.
No.
And it was after American Werewolf that we started to then get more werewolf.
It was really effective, wasn't it?
Very.
Because, I do remember being quite, like, you look at it now, it seems quite tame. But apart from, obviously you would be scared in that position, but then it was kind of really quite creepy and nasty. And
I can remember everybody talking about it at school.
Yeah, same. The special effects.
Oh, Rick Baker. He got an Oscar for that as well, for special effects, and no surprise at all, really, based on what we've seen. There's a couple of bits now that obviously look a little bit dated, but I've got to say, I loved it all. I love all that stuff anyway. I think as our viewers, if they've watched other films, other of our channel films would know. But the brashness of getting him to change into a werewolf underneath the full light. There's no trying to hide things in shadow and stuff. He's lit in this brightly lit room, and there's no sort of like trying to hide it. You know, we're there to see it all, and it's painful.
Is it the same guy that did Michael Jackson's Thriller?
John Landis directed. John Landis, right? Little inside information. Then you might know this already. So Michael Jackson was a big fan of American Werewolf. So when Michael Jackson wanted to do the Thriller video, he approached John Landis. So John Landis said, "Yeah, I'll direct it for you." So I would imagine very much, yeah, it was Rick Baker, because the same things happen. It's kind of a similar kind of change that he uses with the little puff air things inside the cheeks and stuff that he puffs out, and the hair coming out and stuff like that. So yeah, and that's why, because Jackson was a massive fan of what he'd seen, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess like the most famous scene in American Werewolf in London is the transformation scene that you were just talking about, and the fact that they were that confident in the way they could film it and the effects that they did it in a brightly lit room.
Yeah.
I was incredibly impressed by the fact that they were trying to portray just how incredibly painful a transformation like that would be. Because usually, most media don't show that side of a transformation.
First time ever seeing a full werewolf transformation in a film anyway, proper. And yeah, the first time it's been portrayed as actually being really, really, like bones are breaking. I mean, God. I mean, it literally starts by suddenly and it's a sudden thing as well. It's not like this sudden slow change. He's busy reading the book, and then at the time that the change is going to happen, bammo.
Instant pain and
burning up, and he's sweating, his whole body sweating, and then the things start happening. It's like, whoa, you know?
Yeah.
The spine on his back, can you hear the bones cracking as his spine's curving and cracking?
And they go to so much attention, like the whole transformation. It's not just a quick, like, oh, look at his fingernails growing and there's some hair. It's like, yeah, every single element of like his fingers growing. Yeah, like his spine coming out the back, hair's coming out.
Amazing. I like the bit in where his jaw and his nose comes out.
That is the bit that still stands up to the test of time.
That looked incredible.
Yeah.
Even now that looked incredible. And you couldn't do the same with CGI, because you would know it was CG really. And seeing it actually happening as a prosthetic change like that, and seeing what they were able to do with it, yeah, it's still amazing to look at.
Yeah, it is.
It's still amazing to look at, no doubt.
Yeah.
How did you feel? Because another thing as well, I might be wrong on this, but I've not seen it done in another film prior. The dream within a dream shock.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So we've seen it done in films like The Descent, where you think she's woken up and she's not actually still dreaming. And I mean, that was hardcore, actually, wasn't it? The demons coming into his family home and slaughtering his family and setting fire to the house. And
yeah, so most werewolf films, when you think about them, they're like just little kind of campy horrors. But this is almost like a study of his descent into madness, trying to cope with the fact that, like, hold on, am I turning into a werewolf, and trying, telling everyone that it might happen, but he's still in slight denial, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's getting those, like, so it starts off with just like the first person view of a camera running through the woods.
Oh, his first dream. Chasing the deer.
And then he's in the nude and he catches a deer, and then ends up with these like Nazi demons with machine guns shooting up.
It's like his dreams. Each dream he has just gets worse and worse, doesn't it?
When that happens, you're like, what the hell?
I can remember for the very first time seeing it, the scene where he's dreaming and he runs up to him. He's lying in bed in the middle of the forest, really surreal. Yeah. He goes up, the camera goes up to him, and then he suddenly opens his eyes, and he's got fangs and the yellow eyes and that and stuff. And I like the fact as well that he played with those dream sequences first, and then doing the dream within a dream where Jenny Agutter gets knifed by the demon as she sweeps open the curtains. It then leaves you thinking, oh my God, is he going to pull that again? Which again kept you on edge if you'd never seen it before. Because literally, after he wakes up from where he thinks he wakes up from the Nazi demons killing his family, he wakes up and Jenny Agutter, the beautiful Jenny Agutter, by the way, wasn't she beautiful in that film?
Yeah, she was portrayed
really beautiful, wasn't she? Anyway, she comes into it and you think he's woken up. She says, oh, I've had another nightmare. And she's like, oh, don't worry, I've got something for you. And she walks around the bed, opens the curtains, whoosh, daylight again, and the Nazi demon just comes out the window and stabs her. And you're like, what the actual? So being a werewolf actually isn't particularly very pleasant, is it?
Yeah. I don't know what to say about that scene. It was so
incredible, wasn't it?
It was so off kilter and so out of the blue and so random, and it really but then you're like, well, when you start going crazy in your head and things are happening, chemicals are changing and things like that. Oh yeah, just madness, descent into madness. And
so it kind of adds to the idea then that David as a character in that, having had those dreams, in seeing Jack as a corpse and stuff like that would still make you think, oh, I must be just having hallucinations here and stuff. So the fact that he's being told he's going to change into a werewolf in the next 2 days and he's being told he's got to do this and that and the other, you can totally believe the fact that he would wait for it to actually happen before then realizing, oh no. Yeah, because he doesn't understand what's a dream and what's not.
Really, if you knew it was full moon and you'd seen your best friend killed by a werewolf and you're having these dreams, maybe you would lock yourself in a room.
Maybe so, yeah, maybe.
But have you seen? There was a TV series, an English TV series where people living in a house. There was a ghost, there was a werewolf, and there was a vampire.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember it?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called, but the werewolf always used to lock himself in a room, didn't it?
Yeah.
But I suppose that's the only slight inconsistency. But then again, I suppose he's so confused and.
Well, yeah, he'd been attacked. He kept saying it was an animal, didn't he?
Yeah.
Because after the animal was shot, before he loses consciousness, he opens his eyes and he sees it's just a guy.
I've got a question for you, actually.
Uh-oh.
So when David was delivered to the hospital, his wounds had already been taken care of.
Yeah.
Who did that?
Be the villagers.
What, they knew well enough, because there were big, scratches.
Here.
They were knowledgeable enough to clean and heal wounds.
I would say yes, because they've obviously had the werewolf in their village and their area for a while.
So what, the werewolf that they killed, what did they do with that old man?
They said they'd have just snuck him away.
Yeah. It's quite interesting storytelling though, isn't it? Yeah. Like none of that stuff is resolved or even mentioned.
Not resolved for sure. We just have to assume, don't we, that they want to keep, they just don't want people to know about the history that village has had. And I guess they don't want to know that this American guy
they threw him out of the pub.
Potentially, because they did, they kind of killed them really, didn't they, by not saying, no guys, you need to stay
even though they changed their minds because they came with the shotguns.
A bit late.
It was too late. And maybe also that they just don't want all the media and press attention to sending on the village and things. But it was interesting that it was never really mentioned.
Yeah, they were obviously very private people, weren't they? Those the people up in that Yorkshire village, you know. And I've got
another question for you.
Yeah.
So when they first get to the slaughtered lamb, at full moon, they know the werewolf's going to be out on the prowl. Why are they all in the pub? Have they all congregated together to protect each other just for that one night?
I would say so, wouldn't you? Hence the pentagram on the wall of the pub. Safe area, maybe.
Like a ward.
Well, it could be.
It's interesting though, isn't it? That it's never mentioned or talked about. Why, are they all in there every night, or is that full moon? Right, let's everyone get into the pub and
safety in numbers.
Yeah, interesting.
Safety in numbers, nobody go out. Maybe that's why there's this sudden shock when the two boys come in. Maybe it's not that they're being horrible.
It's this show, don't tell.
Yeah.
Really, really good storytelling.
The bit I find it's funny, but I find it a little bit jarring is when the two inspectors are introduced, and one of them is a bit like Peter Sellers in the Pink Panther. He's just so bumbling, and I did find I always laugh when I see it, but I do feel it's a little bit out of place with the way the other humour is done and stuff.
Yeah.
What did you think?
It seemed to be of its time. So that kind of light humor. I mean, there is a very dark aspect to the film, and then maybe he was like, I need to give it bits of brevity because people aren't ready for this. Because it's not like if you release that now where, you know, people are desensitized. At the time, it was very, very gruesome and shocking. So
yeah, I mean, it still is. Although, I mean, it would get a 15 now, wouldn't it? It wouldn't probably get an 18 as it is now. But there's certain scenes in it that are, I mean, the guy the copper that the detective actually gets his head bitten off, doesn't he? When the wolf escapes from the porno cinema.
The more you dig, there are more things you can pull apart. Like, how come it was left? It didn't seem right that the doctor would go out and go and investigate the village, and I mean, there might be a person that is a doctor that would do that, but it didn't really seem to fit into the story properly.
That's because back in the early 80s, doctors in the NHS had more time to be caring about their patients. Wouldn't be able to do it now. They're overworked, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're underpaid. And the nurse, she had a scene in the shopping bit as well, and even then she was saying that because she's on the nurse's salary.
I know she had this lovely great house in the middle of London.
Yeah, lovely.
But even she was like, they had that much more time, that because he didn't want to be left alone.
Yes,
she went and sat with him and read books. Like,
private care. That now, that's what private care. That's not something to dig at our NHS, by the way, because we understand they work really hard and
I mean, times are different.
Time,
it was 40 years ago.
Hey, how cool was it to see as an automotive fan? How cool was it to see all the early 80s cars? We were getting quite excited about it too, weren't we?
Well, we were actually. Like Audis and MGA.
Yeah, there's an MGB, GT. There was a gorgeous Mini Clubman in the. Did you see that? The black one, yeah. And so anyway, in that.
I think there was like a Ford Capri at one point.
Yeah, man.
I think.
Oh wow, what a car!
Yeah.
Seeing all the old tech and stuff as well, like the till using and all that sort of stuff, and an actual proper phone.
And their bag of shopping costs like £3.50, and they were like, "Oh, inflation's gone up, innit?" It costs you about 30 quid.
I mean, this goes to show what we're thinking about, how people spend the money now. We're looking at it because the guy in the subway scene puts 2 10p pieces and gets a Dairy Milk chocolate bar. I'm like, God, I wish that was 20p now.
When the guy brought the Guinness in the pub, he put down like 16 pence or something, like a couple of coppers.
Pint. So I think, I think talking about the werewolf design itself, but the full transformation werewolf, I've got certain favourite werewolf type films because of the way, because I mean, obviously, if you're doing a werewolf film and your werewolf looks crapilo, it ain't going to be a very good film, is it?
No.
So I've got like 2 or 3 favourite werewolf films being an American Werewolf in London, probably my number 1, which is why I chose it. Dog Soldiers.
No.
Again, really great werewolf designs and non-CGI'd, all guys in costumes and stilts.
Scottish.
Yeah. Brilliant film. If you haven't seen that, by the way, I might put that on my list for us to watch.
Yeah, I've not seen it.
Never seen Dog Soldiers? No. Definitely going on the list then. And The Howling. And
The Howling's good.
Yeah, and again, the werewolf design on that is really, really wicked, isn't it? That stuff that sticks with you.
I think, like you see the full transformed werewolf in this film, and it looks a little bit odd and bumbling and kind of, but like, imagine a human turning and transforming in like all its bones breaking and moving and stuff. And it's not going to look like a wolf.
No,
it's going to look really odd and awkward like that.
Yeah.
So it was really kind of quite arresting to see and quite scary. And actually, one of the memories I do have from watching it ages ago is just the thought of it running around London. It's just like,
wild. Yeah.
Running around the centre of London, man. Jesus, imagine the carnage.
My favourite scene, extended scene, edited scene, let's say, of that film, and I love seeing it every time I watch it. I still really love it. And it also contains my favourite shot of the whole movie as well, is the subway scene with the businessman, the posh businessman, right? Because up to that point, although we've seen him change, we've only seen like very quick sort of snaps of the face or the nose or something where he's done his kills, right? Yeah. But we've not seen the werewolf full body. We don't know how big it is. We don't know, we haven't got an idea of that. And then the whole subway scene, again, brilliant storytelling. That scene from a horror point of view, him being chased through the subway, but you don't see it at all while he's being chased. You just see he's seen it, and the panic that he's going through tells you enough to know that he knows he's in big trouble. He eventually falls down on an escalator, which is then carrying him then up without him running anymore. And he turns around onto his back to look down. And at that point, the camera's above him, quite high up above him on the escalator, looking down the escalator. And he's literally just looking at where he's come from. And then before the scene cuts, and it's only for a second or two, for the first time, you see the wolf come into shot at the bottom. And you see the enormity of it, the size of it. You see the fact, and oh God, I love that scene so much. It really
it looks absolutely nasty and demonic and just dirty and just gross.
And then cleverly, then he goes back, then doesn't he, into the wolf's eyes, and then the camera then goes up the escalator, and you don't even see the wolf kill the guy. You hear the sound effect of him because and there's so many. It turns to
like there's like a screen like. The sound effect then cuts to something else that's given a sound effect, like a bus or something. I can't remember what it was.
It's a complete cut to something dead quiet again. I think it might have been Jenny Agutter actually talking on the phone or something anyway. But yes, it's a cold cut, isn't it?
I thought it was a cut to something else making a really loud screeching noise. Like bus.
Oh, there is a cut where it does go to a break.
But talking about the cuts, there are a lot of times where it just does a cold cut to something. Like if there's really loud music and stuff happening, then the next cut is just like there's no echo or anything like that, or fading out, just bang, quiet, and someone's on the phone or something. It's quite arresting, isn't it? It's
effective.
I don't know what to think of that. I can't really remember like seeing a film do that before. It probably keeps you on the edge of your seat.
It's hard, isn't it, when you've seen a film so many times that you know all the beats, you know what's happening next, you know it so well, you know the film like the back of your hand. And again, we've probably said this before, but if I could take a memory loss pill and watch certain films, but for the very first time again. There's a few that you would definitely have on a list, and I think American Werewolf would be definitely one of them.
I think, because I haven't watched it for over 10 years, and I felt like I was discovering it again, and it was very satisfying.
Did you know the business with John Landis? See You Next Wednesday, or with his porno film. He filmed that as a film so that he could then put that in. So when they go to the porno cinema. The porno film's called See You Next Wednesday. That was a bit like, how like John Woo, an action director, will put in every one of his films, he'll have flying doves or something somewhere. So in John Landis's films, up to a certain point, he always has something, either visual or audio, that says "See you next Wednesday."
Oh, does it?
Yeah, because obviously "See you next Thursday" would mean that's the abbreviation for da da da. Doesn't need spelling out, does it? But "See You Next Wednesday" that's his little take on that, and that's his little thing that he puts into each of his films.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So next time you watch Blues Brothers, watch it and then see where you see the "See You Next Wednesday."
Talking of the cinema film, talk about influence as well. It's also the slight comedic aspect that it puts in every now and then. It's like the people appear that he killed. And it reminded me of Beetlejuice. Do you think Beetlejuice, you meet all those dead people in the afterlife? And start talking to them. It's like, I think American Werewolf in London, its influence trickled down quite a lot to other stuff,
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. Certainly from a horror point of view, I think people became less afraid to make horror films, but with some comedy in them, for sure. Certainly as werewolf films go, you've only got to look at the list of werewolf movies that then followed American Werewolf.
Getting cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
What was that one with Michael J. Fox as well?
Oh yeah, Teenage Werewolf.
Teenage Werewolf.
Yeah.
I mean, that was all right, really.
Yeah. There's so many in the 80s, weren't there?
Yeah, and there were quite a lot of good ones.
In fact, you know what? I could do with a really cool werewolf film. Every now and then, a decent one comes out. There's one called Howl on a Train, and that was. But the Wolfman got a remake with Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
Now, I'm one of the few people that actually really liked that. But not very many people sort of dug it really. And I wonder if it's because maybe people are tired of werewolf films or they want something else.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do we need
Did you ever see that French one set in the French Revolution?
The French Revolution?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
I can't. I'll come back to it. I can't.
That in the French Revolution?
Yeah. It's really cool.
No,
I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. It'll come back to me.
There's so many. There's great one. I mean, Ginger Snaps.
I mean, now it's
brilliant.
Vampires.
Yeah.
It was zombies.
Yeah.
Werewolves haven't been in vogue for some fair amount.
Although they've done another remake of the Wolfman. I haven't seen it trailered yet, but it's coming out though. Yeah, I can't tell you who's directed it, but I'm hoping it does.
It would be interesting to see how would you make werewolves cool again? It's like you look at vampires, it's like, well, we can have sexy vampires, or we can have like old deranged vampires, whatever. Like werewolves are like a bit one-dimensional, aren't they? It's like, how do you make them cool again?
I don't know.
No,
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, that's where I think Dog Soldiers worked so well, but that's an old film now, even.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's set in Scotland, but they hole up in a cottage, a farmhouse.
Don't tell me because I've not seen it.
Oh yeah, you just said. Anyway, well, I'm gonna have to get you to watch it because it has. Dog Soldiers makes werewolves cool,
right?
I think.
Did American Werewolf in London? It got a sequel, didn't it?
Oh God, yes,
I think I've seen the sequel.
It's absolutely tragic.
Is it?
Yeah, American Werewolf in Paris.
That's it. Yeah.
It is absolutely tragic. It absolutely stomps over everything that John Landis did so well. CGI, first of all, completely CGI and bad CGI because they hadn't really got a grips of it at that point. So lots of CGI in it, stories all over the place. Oh, it's just awful.
Right. And what about the one with Kate Beckinsale in there?
Oh, okay. So, so these, you're talking about making werewolves cool and vampires.
Yeah.
So if you speak to a lot of I'm not saying this across the board at all, but if you talk to a lot of the younger generation about cool werewolf films, they won't say American Werewolf.
Underworld.
Yeah, they won't say American Werewolf. They'll probably go for the Underworld type sort of films because those films did make it all cool again for the younger generation. Lots of action. Yeah, more action packed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But cool. I mean, cool werewolves. And a lot of CG, but also a lot of prosthetic work too in those.
Yeah, they're all right. But they made werewolves more of like a cult type thing, like vampires. There's a lot of them in there. It's like, I couldn't actually remember in this film that the line, the bloodline of like, you have to kill.
Once the bloodline ends.
Yeah, is that an actual part of the myth that came from somewhere? Or did Landis make that part up?
No, I think that's it's like one of the myths. Like in vampires, you can't enter someone's house unless you're invited and stuff like that. That kind of thing. So yes, I think that's a fair werewolf myth kind of idea, like the idea of killing him with a silver bullet. Yeah. But in this film, though, they don't use silver bullets. They just can get shot and that's it. You know. Yeah. So they can mix and I guess you can mix and match, can't you, with whatever you want to take from the mythology of it and then just make it your own.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yes, I doubt the British police firing squad actually had silver bullets. I don't think our government would have done that, would they? Really?
Yeah.
Did you find when watching it for the first time and being a brother and having a younger and an older sister myself, did you find that whole bit where he's in the telephone booth and he's ringing back home to America because he knows he's going to kill himself? He knows he's got to kill himself to end the bloodline. Did you find that moving in any way at all? Or have you seen it that many times now?
I thought it was done quite well, but I thought it was a little bit unnecessary and a bit manipulative, but it was done quite well.
Did you?
But it didn't move me, no.
I was moved by it the first.
I mean, he didn't kill himself anyway, did he?
Well, he didn't in the telephone booth. No, he only had a penknife. That's not the way to do it. You said. He did get nice suggestions from everybody. Corpses.
Yeah, that was quite funny.
Put your gun in your mouth. That'll do the trick.
There's those two people who are still really jolly.
The couple.
Yeah,
I know, fantastic. Those jobs are out those jobs are out back again, Jerry. While he's getting torn to pieces.
Well, one of the interesting things about watching these old films is like just the attitudes towards like between men and women.
I know, yeah.
A little bit embarrassing, you know, kind of. Like,
that's how it dates them, isn't it?
Condescending, kind of. Know your place, woman, kind of vibe.
Not just that either. I mean, the orderlies were all Indian. There was not one Indian person or black person in that film or of any sort of consequence unless she was an orderly.
Or even at the start when the two lads are walking on the moors and they were talking about that girl one of them really likes. And
oh, God.
And he's like, no, in fact, I'm not going to say it. It's just that of its time.
Just of its time,
You'd get cancelled if you did some of that stuff now.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Yeah, you just wouldn't. Well, it wouldn't pass. It just wouldn't pass muster, would it? What was it? It was the doctor, wasn't it, on the phone to his wife? And what was it? He said something.
Good girl.
Yeah, good girl. Calls his wife a good girl. That's it, good girl.
Oof.
Oh, God.
The ending, I thought. Have you noticed? Yeah, these old films when they end, they just end.
Yeah, just bam.
Yeah, no like reconciliation between people or like at a funeral or anything like that. Just like they killed the werewolf. She sees him as him with some gunshot wounds. Credits.
Oh, yeah.
What? Oh,
yeah.
We're done.
She's crying because she knows David. It was David.
Yeah.
And he's dead. We see him on the floor. Bullets in him. Credits. And then it's dang, 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 dang.
It's so weird. Like the whole film's got like so much attention to detail in the writing, the pacing of the edit and stuff. And then at the end, it's just like, well, that's it. There's nothing else to say.
Nothing else to tell. Story's done.
Done.
We're done here. Yeah, that's it. Let's go home. Finito.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, talking of the music, then, seeing as I was singing it. Really, really cool idea, wasn't it? To use every song in the film relates to the moon, and they're really cool tunes. Van Morrison, and lovely soundtrack to it.
Yeah, I didn't think it was anything. I mean, it did its purpose, but that was about it.
Well, yeah, relatable.
Yeah, relatable. Didn't get in the way though. Nothing clever or challenging or anything like that. Just.
I just like the fact that it just had this sort of like, it had this lovely little sort of pattern through it all where, obviously if we're going to have any music in this film, if it's got nothing to do with the moon, we're not having it because it all relates to what's happening.
I didn't even notice the sound mix, did you? The Foley or the...
No, not really. Annoyingly, I mean, you couldn't see it, you were saying, annoyingly, my Blu-ray, and there's no way of fixing it, but it must have been a batch of Blu-rays. The lip syncing was a little bit out on occasion, wasn't it? Which was a bit weird.
Coming back
in again, didn't it? Which is strange. That's the only thing I found that mildly distracting. But no, Foley-wise, they did the job, didn't they? Because again, the audio. To say how old that film is, the audio was crystal clear, and when they wanted to use sound for the advantage of using it in surround and stuff like that, it worked really, really well.
I mean, there's not a lot to say about the film really, because in terms of I think it was quite low budget.
Yeah, I don't know how much it cost. I mean, it obviously made a bunch of money. I think it was successful. It wasn't one of these films like The Thing where it came out and everybody hated it at first.
No, it was successful.
Yeah, it was successful.
I mean, it can't have been easy to organise shooting in London. It's like
actually shooting at night in Piccadilly.
Yeah.
Can you imagine shutting down Piccadilly Circus to do that?
Or the Underground.
Yeah.
Actually
properly
So maybe all the budget just went towards playing the police to shut everything down.
Yeah, maybe
a couple of days.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the people that they had in it weren't massive. I think Jenny Agutter was obviously a star at the time. She'd done Logan's Run and things like that. Griffin Dunn, he was a name in films, but I don't know if because he'd done a couple of films after American Werewolf. Not sure what he'd done before American Werewolf though. But David Norton, the actual lead, when I'd seen American Werewolf the first time, I'd never seen him in anything.
No,
nothing.
Well, he did all right, actually.
Yeah. I've got no qualms at all with how they acted it all out and everything.
His friend, he's been in a few things.
Yeah, Griffin Dunn. That's Griffin Dunn.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I thought, who was the Doctor then?
Oh, the Doctor. Yeah, he's been in a few things too of his time.
I'm not very good with names and stuff. But...
Nah, well, as I get older these days, mate, neither am I. But, it's just cool to see a film where it's not about the star, is it? It's about the story.
Yeah.
It's not about the star. It's about the story.
Right, shall we wrap up then?
Okay. Yeah, well, seeing as I chose this, you go first.
What, with my summing up?
Your summing up.
Okay. I think this film is an interesting... It has an interesting slice in the progression of the horror as an art form. It's got, if you did like a chart of like all the way back to Nosferatu, back to like the alien Romulus, you would have this in the middle with a very specific reason why it's there.
Yeah, okay.
Which is dark, gross, gory portrayal of like an urban horror myth. So I think it's a very interesting piece of filmmaking.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it a film that you would ever recommend to someone to watch?
I don't know if I would, because I think if you're not from the time or you haven't got if you're not a horror aficionado, I think most people would get a bit bored of it.
Yeah. I have in the past, when I've spoken to some of my pupils that I teach when I'm doing my driving instructing, I have sometimes in the past recommended American Werewolf for them to watch if they say they like werewolf films, only for them, a couple, to have said, yeah, it was okay. And the reason that and when they said, oh, it was okay, and I said, well, what's your favourite? Of course, Underworld and this and that, because there's a lot more going on. There's much more action in it and so forth.
Yeah.
So I get what you mean about that. I always recommend this as one of my favourite werewolf films. I will always let people want to see it if they like werewolf films. I don't always expect them, depending on their age, whether they'll like it or not. People of our age will love it still. It's a cult film. It's a completely cult film now, isn't it?
I think it depends what you want from watching a film as well, because if you like to study the art form of storytelling and things, I would definitely recommend it. If you just want some flashbang horror, thrills and stuff like that, it probably ain't going to appeal to most people.
No,
it's quite slow. It doesn't seem slow to me and you when we're watching it.
The build up to him the pacing of it's weird, isn't it? Because the first 20 minutes leading up to the first attack, and then you get the attack, and that's woof. And then from the attack onwards until he changes, not an awful lot's happening at all, is it?
No, it's just his mental health.
Yeah.
Really.
So that's a good point. Although I've never really thought about it like that.
No, I haven't. And in actual fact, there's absolutely no point in him hooking up with that nurse. That doesn't really give... I suppose because he's an American tourist, he has to have somewhere to go. But that's probably the only reason.
I don't know. How many she said she's had 6, 7 lovers. 3 of them are one night stands. I don't know what that says about me. I said, I know what it says. It says, you're a very lovely lady, Jenny. Very lovely lady.
Oh God! Right.
Careful. Right. So I've got to. So I'm all. It's my choice. I'm going to score high. I mean, gosh, look. This is how much I love having it, and I love the design of it all. Can't get enough. Every time I watch that film about once every 6 or 7 years. Don't watch it more than that. But it's my favourite werewolf film. Period. So, Dog Soldiers is my second favourite. You've totally got to see that. But yeah, I'll give that. It's still a solid 9 out of 10. It does lose a point though for some of its old the way some of things are said, depicted, that seem a bit dated now, and that we've already talked about. But anyway, other than that, yeah, 9 out of 10 for me. Loved it. So thanks for that. Yeah, great. It was great seeing it in here as well with the surround. Actually, first time I've seen it in here actually. So yeah, that was really cool.
Awesome.
So well done. So yours next.
Mine next. So I think I'm going to go for an artsy thriller.
Thriller?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not that old, and it reminded me a bit of Shutter Island, but it's not set in a mental asylum, but it's set in a care home in the middle of nowhere on the top, halfway up a mountain. It's not the most well-known, famous film in the world.
Right.
If you don't know what it is already, then I can't really offer you many of the clues.
Aren't you?
That will spoil it for you, and just the fact that it's set in a care home. Well, it's like an aftercare home, like for people recovering.
From injury or from mental illness?
A bit both.
Both?
Yeah.
Is a cure for wellness?
It is.
Is it really?
For wellness.
Thank
you. Well done. I didn't think you'd be able to get
Seen
that.
it once when it first come out. That's it's still a few years ago though. It's about 4 or 5 years old, I think that is.
Yeah, it's probably about when it came out. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So right, cool.
Yes.
I'm trying to think who the lead actor is in that. I can't remember actually.
Yeah, I can't remember.
His name. Yeah. Okay. A Cure for Wellness. Right. Interesting. That'll be really cool to watch actually. To digest it. Okay. Cool. Right. So we need to. Well, we've already said well done to Melanie. She is the proud winner of the John Landis Innocent Blood vampire film, that gorgeous cinema lobby brochure. So we now need to set a question to do with thrillers. So I need to set a question to do with thriller. Okay. Well, we talked about Michael Jackson's Thriller, didn't we?
Oh, nice link.
Okay. Yeah. This is off the top of my head. So what I'd like to know is, at one point in its history, Thriller was the highest selling album worldwide of all time. It's not anymore. So what is? There you go.
Okay.
The highest selling album worldwide of all time. Okay. And the winner, again, seeing as it's thriller based, this is quite apt actually, is this lovely soundtrack on CD.
Taking the price tag off.
I am taking the price tag off. £400 this cost me.
Wow.
No, not really. Is the beautiful soundtrack to Ocean's 11, which is a lovely remake of the original with the Brat Pack, but this is the remake with the fantastic George Clooney and Brad Pitt, who we were only saying the other day are aging very well, aren't they?
They are, almost as well as you go.
Well, yeah.
Before we go, leave out, actually, I'm going to set up buy us a coffee. If you've never heard of it, it's just a link where you can buy us a coffee to say thanks for the work we're doing and to support us. And we'll probably put that towards some nice prizes on the postage cost.
Yeah, we've got to post it, and we've got to get this stuff and post and stuff. That will definitely help.
Eventually, when we get somewhere with this channel, I've got my eye on a brand new camera, and that's going to be quite expensive.
So we can raise the quality of what we're doing.
Because we're here for the long run. But I'm going to post a link, to buy us a coffee. So do so if you appreciate what we're doing, and we'll see you next time.
Before we go, very quickly though, 280 subs. Thank you. Well, I think we go like that, don't you? Thanks everybody, old and new, that have joined us. We really, really appreciate the fact that you're subbing and watching, and thank you.
We're getting there.
Woo,
see you at 1,000.
Beware the moon.
And margaritas, Joe is Chris and Gavin talking about their favorite features.